everywhere, but tonight the Walmart on H Street in Northeast is closing its doors at the end of March.
Elsewhere in the metro tonight, a Walmart in Coon Rapids will shut its doors later this month.
A retail giant is closing stores. Walmart plans to shut down 269 stores.
Walmart announcing it's closing 3 stores.
It's kind of crazy. You don't hear of things like Walmart closing. Walmart.
What if the largest retailer in America decided it had enough? Enough tariffs, enough trade wars, enough being squeezed, and just walked out of the US? That sounds like a dramatic political thriller, not a business decision. But today, the pressure on Walmart is real, and the stakes are higher than ever. Trump's new tariff strategy has sparked fury from industries across the board. Walmart, of all companies, is finding itself walking a tightrope. Costs are rising, margins are thinning, and doors might start closing. The question is, how far will they go? And could that local Walmart of yours be at risk? Stay with me. By the end, you'll see the moves behind the headlines and what to watch next. Tariffs aren't just numbers on a government spreadsheet. They're silent taxes that hit every step of the supply chain. And for Walmart, those numbers add up to billions. Imagine importing containers of clothing, electronics, and everyday essentials, only to find out that the price to bring them into the US has suddenly spiked overnight. That's exactly the world Walmart is living in right now. For a company built on low prices, even the smallest increase can ripple through the entire empire. Walmart's business model depends on volume, selling more at lower prices. But tariffs flip that model on its head. Every extra cent on shipping costs or customs duties erodes Walmart's already razor-thin margins. Executives have quietly admitted in financial calls that the pressure is mounting. Analysts say margins are being squeezed to the thinnest they've been in years. Think about it. The average retailer makes around 3 to 4% profit per item sold. When tariffs raise import costs by 10, 15, or even 25%, that tiny sliver of profit can vanish instantly. And Walmart isn't just any retailer. It's the country's biggest importer of goods from China, with around 60% of its merchandise linked to Chinese suppliers. From clothing to toys to electronics and furniture, China fills Walmart's shelves. That makes the company more vulnerable than almost anyone else when tariffs rise. Publicly, Walmart has put on a brave face. In its recent earnings update, it even reaffirmed its annual forecast. That was a calculated move, designed to calm investors who panic at any sign of weakness. But behind the scenes, the reality is harsher. The cost storm is real, and the tools Walmart has to fight it are shrinking by the day. Because here's the catch. Walmart can't just pass all those costs onto shoppers. Raise prices too high, and the whole everyday low prices promise collapses. The brand loyalty Walmart has spent decades building could unravel in months. And unlike luxury retailers, Walmart's customer base is far more price sensitive. If shoppers see prices climbing, they'll cut back or look elsewhere. That leaves Walmart stuck between 2 impossible choices. Either eat the tariffs and watch its profits collapse, or pass them on and risk alienating its most loyal customers. Neither path is sustainable for long. This is why industry insiders are whispering that Walmart is entering a danger zone. When the foundation of your business model starts to crumble, you either rebuild it or you make drastic decisions to survive. And that's exactly where the political fireworks start, because Donald Trump himself has now stepped directly into Walmart's storm. When Trump returned to the political spotlight, tariffs were at the top of his agenda. He promised to bring manufacturing back to America and punish foreign competitors, who in his words had been ripping off the United States for decades. For many of his supporters, this tough stance on trade sounded like a path to revival for American jobs. But for Walmart, it was nothing short of a nightmare. Walmart's empire was built on global supply chains, sourcing cheap goods abroad and selling them at prices American competitors couldn't match. This wasn't an accident. It was the very formula that allowed Walmart to dominate US retail for decades. Trump's tariff policy directly attacked that formula, and the company knew it. In private, Walmart executives were panicking. Internal memos leaked to reporters earlier this year revealed that Walmart leadership feared tariffs could increase product costs by billions annually. That's not just a dent, that's enough to wipe out entire quarters of profit. Trump, on the other hand, seemed unfazed. He doubled down, suggesting that if Walmart couldn't handle the pressure, maybe it was time for another company to step up. That comment alone sent shockwaves off Wall Street, wiping billions off of Walmart's market value in a single day. Investors suddenly realized this wasn't just about policy, it was about a public feud between the former president and America's largest retailer. The clash quickly escalated in the media. Trump accused Walmart of being too dependent on China and claimed the company had sold out American workers for cheap imports. Walmart, usually cautious with its public image, issued a rare statement defending itself. The company reminded the public that it employed nearly 1.6 million Americans and pumped billions into local economies. But that didn't matter. In the political arena, perception often outweighs reality. The headlines practically wrote themselves. Trump versus Walmart, America's biggest retailer under fire. TV pundits debated whether Walmart had become too powerful or too vulnerable. On social media, hashtags like boycott Walmart started trending, fueled by Trump's most loyal supporters. For a brand that thrived on being America's go-to store, this was a nightmare scenario. But here's where things get even more interesting. Walmart wasn't just fighting Trump in the media. Behind the scenes, it was quietly testing an exit strategy. Analysts noted that the company was slowing expansion in certain U.S. regions while pouring billions into operations abroad. To some, this looked like hedging against the possibility that the U.S. market was no longer a safe bet. It's rare to see a single political figure rattle a company of Walmart's size. Yet Trump had done exactly that, not just with policy, but with words. And that left everyday shoppers wondering if Walmart could no longer guarantee the low prices and endless aisles it was famous for. What would that mean for the future of retail in America? But before we answer that, we need to understand how Walmart's global reach could change everything, and why walking out of the US might not be as crazy as it sounds. At first glance, the idea of Walmart walking out of the US seems impossible. This is the company's home turf, the land where it grew from a single discount store in Arkansas into the biggest retailer on the planet. But behind the patriotic branding and the Made in America slogans, Walmart has always been a global beast. And in 2025, that global reach might actually matter more than its American roots. Here's the truth most shoppers don't realize. While Walmart is an American icon, the company has been quietly shifting billions overseas for years. From China and India to Mexico and Canada, Walmart has planted massive operations that are sometimes even more profitable than its US stores. In Mexico, for example, Walmart is practically the national supermarket. In India, despite heavy competition, the company still holds serious leverage through partnerships in e-commerce. And in India, Walmart owns a controlling stake in Flipkart, one of the largest online marketplaces in the country. So when tariffs squeeze US profits and political battles threaten Walmart's brand, executives don't just shrug, they look at the map. And the map tells them something dangerous. The future of Walmart may not be in Bentonville, Arkansas, but in booming foreign markets with expanding middle classes. Analysts have already noted the shift. In quarterly reports, international growth has sometimes outpaced US growth, especially on digital sales. That's a red flag for American shoppers who assume Walmart's main loyalty lies at home. In reality, loyalty lies where the margins are safest. If tariffs make US imports unaffordable, Walmart has two choices. Either restructure its supply chains to bring production stateside, a move that would take years and cost billions, or lean harder into markets where the political climate is friendlier. For executives facing short-term investor pressure, the second option looks a lot more attractive. This is where the walkout speculation gains traction. Walking out doesn't mean Walmart would shut down every US store overnight. That would be financial suicide. Instead, think of it as a slow retreat. Less reinvestment in US stores, more capital pushed into global expansions, closing underperforming locations while promoting international projects as future growth drivers. And if that sounds unlikely, just remember this. Walmart has done it before. The company pulled out of Germany in the early 2000s after losing billions there. It withdrew from South Korea too when the market didn't fit its model. Walmart doesn't stay where it doesn't win. And while abandoning the US entirely would be far more drastic, the principle is the same. Survival over sentiment. This possibility is what has rattled both Wall Street and Washington. For decades, Walmart has been tied to America's identity, symbolizing cheap goods and middle-class convenience. But in today's volatile climate, symbols don't pay the bills. Numbers do. And the numbers suggest Walmart could, in theory, scale back in the very country that made it a giant. But Walmart isn't just fighting economic battles. There's another war raging inside its US stores that could push the company closer to retreat than anyone expected. While politics fights and global strategy grab headlines, the everyday reality for shoppers tells another story. Step inside many Walmart locations today, and you'll notice the cracks forming. Empty shelves where once there were towers of goods. Long checkout lines snaking into the aisles because half the registers are closed. Frustrated employees juggling 2 or 3 jobs at once, trying to keep the store afloat. This isn't just bad luck, it's the direct result of Walmart's internal struggle. For years, the company has been cutting labor hours to save money, leaning harder on self-checkout systems, and relying on razor-thin staffing levels. On paper, those decisions look efficient, but in practice, they've created stores that feel understaffed, understocked, and under pressure. Customers are noticing. Social media is filled with posts of messy aisles, abandoned carts, and shoppers vowing never to return. For a brand that once prided itself on being America's store, that kind of backlash stings. And while Walmart dismisses much of it as noise, insiders know it's more than chatter. Dissatisfied customers are the first warning sign of a retail model under strain. The staffing issue goes deeper than just closed registers. Walmart is also fighting a retention problem. With rising wages across other industries, keeping frontline workers has become harder than ever.